step or not. He's got Smith.
DeVonta Smith, touchdown!
A lot of guys out there that had better stats, but I feel like myself, just being covered one-on-one route running, I feel like I'm up there with some of the best.
Whether NFL fans recognize it or not, DeVonta Smith is a superstar, but he has so many other stars around him that it's sometimes tough to see. Not because the guys he lines up with are better, but because the Slim Reaper operates in the shadows, and that's exactly where he's most dangerous.
Play fake, Hurts looking deep. He's going to take a shot for DeVonta Smith. He's got him!
DeVonta Smith walked into a disaster when he arrived in Philly in 2021. Technically, it was a rebuild following a 4-11-1 2020 season that got head coach Doug Peterson fired, but the expectations couldn't have been lower. The ground game would be headed by Miles Sanders, who had yet to crack 1,000 yards in his career. Second-year quarterback Jalen Hurts had just closed out a dismal 2020 with a 52% completion rate and 77.6 passer rating. And veteran wide receiver Deshaun Jackson was finally gone, meaning the receiving core was built around Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor, two second-year guys who failed to make a mark as rookies. This wasn't a playoff-ready roster waiting for the final piece. It was a full-scale construction project disguised as a football team. And into this chaos stepped Smith, a 170-pound rookie with a Heisman Trophy and a mountain of doubt following him from Alabama. No veteran mentor to ease the transition, no established wide receiver one to take the heat off his shoulders, and no luxury of learning the game from the sidelines. From week one, Smith was the guy. Primary target that opposing defenses keyed on every single Sunday. And what did Smith do with all that attention? He torched the league for nearly 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns as a rookie and led the team in targets, receptions, and receiving yards while helping turn a 25th ranked passing attack into a 9-8 playoff team. The Eagles would go on to lose to Tom Brady and the Bucs in the wildcard game, but 2021 proved that DeVonta Smith could carry a team on his back, though he wouldn't have to for long. And there's no reason for you to wait to hit that like and subscribe button really quick. For most players, winning a Heisman does the talking for them, but for DeVonta Smith, it just gave the doubters more material. Draft night should have been a coronation for yet another Alabama legend and SEC killer. After all, no wideout had won the award in 30 years, and Smith made it look easy. But as the picks were being called in April of 2021, he waited. Jamar Chase went 5th overall, reunited with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Jalen Waddle, Smith's teammate at Alabama, was taken right after. And Smith, well, he fell to 10th overall, drafted behind 2 receivers he outproduced in college, but he never even blinked.
Do you and Jalen Waddle, he got picked 6th, where the Eagles were originally picking. Are you guys competitive? Do you want to try to outdo him in the NFL?
I mean, I'm happy for him. That's my brother. I mean, seeing him get picked in front of me, I was happy as hell.
It may have been the classiest thing any rookie draft pick has ever said, but the talking heads around the NFL weren't as kind about DeVonta's prospects. They said the team made a mistake in trading up for a kid who was too short to win jump balls and too skinny to beat press coverage at the next level.
How much do you weigh as a senior?
Probably 150, 145.
Even in Philly, the bar was set low. The expectation was that he'd need to develop behind a veteran for a year or two and hopefully play the slot one day. The problem with that was that Philly didn't have a veteran for him to learn from, so DeVonta simply had to take over.
Going for the end zone. It is caught. DeVonta Smith, first NFL catch.
That touchdown set the tone on Smith's first NFL catch, and he never looked back. He finished his rookie campaign with 64 catches for 916 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a temporary wide receiver 1 role on a team still trying to figure out who they were. Then, another superstar walked through the door and everything changed overnight. A.J. Brown arrived in Philadelphia as a savior, bringing all-pro credentials and a reputation that preceded him from Tennessee.
Brown is wide open and he catches. He's going to walk in backwards.
Suddenly, the spotlight that had been burning Smith for an entire season shifted to the new guy. The suffocating double teams quickly moved to Brown's side of the field, placing DeVonta Smith solidly in the shadow of number 11. Most receivers would have been pissed off by the role change and made it about ego and individual stats. Smith did the opposite and embraced the chaos that AJ's arrival created.
As much as I love A.J. Brown and his addition, the big body, if DeVonta Smith takes that jump, man, and he becomes that, Antonio Brown type of winner when it comes to route running, You can't stop this offense.
He studied the mismatch that opened up when defenses overcommitted to stopping Brown, and he turned himself into the most dangerous secondary option in football. The results were immediate and glaring. DeVonta Smith went off in 2022 with 95 grabs for 1,196 yards. He caught 31 more passes and 2 more touchdowns than in his rookie year. Smith went from being the focus of every defense to the nightmare they forgot to account for, the ghost who burns you in the dark. In his first 4 seasons, he averaged over 1,000 yards per year and scored 27 touchdowns.
To the end zone and caught by DeVonta Smith.
Now, are those record-breaking totals? No, but they're relentless, year-after-year consistency that defenses still haven't solved. And that's DeVonta's role in this system, to be the guy Jalen Hurts can rely on week after week after week, and he's done that job to perfection. Yet, when the media talk about the top young receivers in football, Smith's name barely makes a whisper. And honestly, that's fine by him, because only one number matters to DeVonta, the number of rings you finish with. If the Eagles are building a dynasty, and it sure as hell looks like they're building a dynasty, Smitty won't just be part of the machine, he'll be the reason it runs so smoothly. Just look at the Eagles' 2024 championship run. In the wildcard game, Smith caught all 4 of his targets for nearly 14 yards a catch against Green Bay's number 3 ranked pass defense. In the divisional round, he caught 4 more against a Rams front that lived in the backfield. And in the NFC Championship, it was another 4 against Washington, including 2 on 3rd down that flipped the game's momentum. That's not a coincidence, it's Philly's blueprint. While A.J. Brown's stat line bounced up and down like a heart monitor from 1 catch to 2 to 6, then back to 3, Smith was the metronome. By the time the 2024 postseason was done, he'd hauled in 16 passes on 17 targets for 190 yards and a touchdown. His ridiculous 94.1% catch rate wasn't just elite, it was the heartbeat keeping Philadelphia's offense alive through the winter. In today's NFL, that level of reliability is pure gold, and in Philly's offense, where there's never enough spotlight to go around, it's how you make yourself irreplaceable. But make no mistake, just because Smith avoids the spotlight doesn't mean he can't deliver when it's on him. The 2024 playoffs were supposed to be when DeVonta Smith faded. Elite defenses with months of game tape to study, playoff pressure that crushes lesser players, and the brightest lights in football where stars are made and pretenders are exposed. But instead of cracking, Smith did what he always does. He showed up and got to work. 16 receptions later, the Slim Reaper was playing in his 2nd Super Bowl in 3 years. And that's where legacies are written, where every route is magnified and every mistake is immortalized. Kansas City had 4 weeks to prepare and dissect every wrinkle of Philly's offense. They built a plan to jam A.J. Brown, to spy Saquon Barkley, and to neutralize Dallas Goedert. And for a while, it worked. Until the guy they weren't talking about took over. Because DeVonta Smith didn't need 10 targets. He just needed a handful of looks and some daylight, and when they finally came, he was gone. 4 catches for 69 yards and 1 soul-snatching touchdown in the 3rd quarter that was the dagger in Kansas City's weekly beating heart. Because while the Chiefs' D scrambled to cover the stars in plain sight, they forgot about the surgeon in the shadows. The result was one of the most lopsided Super Bowls in history, and a harbinger of what's to come for Philly. But that's a discussion for another video. So here's where we're going to stir things up a bit and risk getting raged at in the comments by asking a simple question. If DeVonta Smith is more consistent than A.J. Brown, if he shows up just as big in the biggest games, and if they're equally effective on 3rd down and in the red zone, what exactly makes A.J. Brown the wide receiver 1? The answer isn't what you think. Because if you look closer, you'll see that Smith didn't become Robin to swole Batman. He became Skinny Batman, his own introverted version of the silent anti-hero. So, at the end of the day, it's not about who's better, it's about who draws the coverage. A.J. Brown gets doubled because of his size, physicality, and well-earned reputation as a 50-50 ball winner. That attention opens up the entire field for Smith, who, at 170 pounds, isn't winning jump balls. But he is running routes that bigger receivers can't. He's creating separation that physical freaks can't match, and he's finding windows that power receivers can't squeeze through. What this boils down to is that the Eagles don't have a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, They have 2 wide receiver ones playing different roles. Brown is the hammer that commands attention. Smith is the scalpel that exploits the coverage, and together, they've created one of the most dangerous receiving duos in all of football. Look at the 2024 numbers. A.J. Brown had 67 catches for 1,079 yards and 7 touchdowns. DeVonta Smith caught 68 passes for 833 yards and 8 touchdowns. Brown got more yards, Smith got more touchdowns. Brown averaged 16.1 yards per catch, Smith averaged 12.3, but Smith's catch rate was 76.4%, while Brown's was 69.1%. When the Eagles needed a first down, they threw to Smith. When they needed a home run, they threw to Brown. That's not a hierarchy, it's a partnership. And Smith's part of that deal isn't about flash, it's about being open when it matters and catching everything that comes his way. And that's what makes DeVonta Smith sneaky good, if not elite. Across 4 NFL seasons, he's caught 308 passes. That's 77 catches per year with a career catch rate of 69.8%. That's 11th best in NFL history. For comparison, Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, and Smith's old teammate Jalen Waddle all have a lower catch rate percentage than him. So you see, DeVonta isn't just reliable, he's historically reliable. And in a league where one dropped pass can end your season, where one missed route can lose you a championship, reliability isn't merely a commodity, it's priceless. So, what's the verdict in the great DeVonta Smith versus A.J. Brown debate? We don't think there is one, because Smith and Brown aren't locked in some bitter competition for Philadelphia's wide receiver 1 crown. They're co-conspirators in the most devastating receiving scheme the NFL has seen in years. When you factor in Dallas Goedert coming off the line and Saquon Barkley catching 30-plus passes out of the backfield, things get scary for the rest of the league. Because if we're honest, Smith and Brown are just 2 cogs in a wheel loaded with talent. You could legitimately make the case that AJ and DeVonta are only the 3rd and 4th most dangerous skill players on this Eagles roster. There are 4 or 5 guys in Philly who can go off in any given week and win both a real game and a fantasy matchup. It's the lethal concoction of run and pass that powered Philadelphia's championship and makes them a favorite to repeat in 2025. So, the next time someone tries to diminish DeVonta Smith by comparing him to his more celebrated teammate, tell them the truth that Philadelphia fans already know. He doesn't need to outshine A.J. Brown. He just needs to keep being the most reliable weapon in football. Because on a team built to win championships rather than individual accolades, maybe that's what qualifies as wide receiver 1. Drop your takes in the comment section below. Is Smith the most underrated receiver in the NFL? You're watching Snap Count, NFL stories that go deeper. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.